Good evening and welcome to Legal Tech Live episode 42. We're here tonight with my co-host,
Ivan Raikland. Wait, 42. Isn't that Jackie Robinson's number?
It is. Most
All
certainly
right, we're getting
is.
somewhere here.
I'm Nick Rishwain, and our guest tonight is Richard Lozano. Richard is the founder, creator, and CEO of the Monikur App. You can find them at monikur.com, Monikur. Monikur is an award-winning app for attorneys and other professionals to text with clients without sharing a cell phone number. It is simply a better way to communicate with clients. Monikur is so simple to use, it takes an average of 60 seconds from the time you share your profile to the time your client has Monikur installed and you are communicating via text. We're going to prove this tonight because Ivan just downloaded it and Richard is upgrading them on the back, and then they'll be communicating here as I go live to the Facebook Legal Tech community. So Richard, tell us a little bit about yourself and your law practice and how you came up with the idea for Monikur.
Sure.
And we'll just sort of run from there.
So I'm going to try to do that while I'm upgrading Ivan on the back. So, Ivan, what is your last name?
Raiklin.
Oh, I see. You're upgraded, buddy.
Okay.
You're good to go.
Perfect.
So now you can share your profile so you can connect with people. Okay, so I'm a criminal defense attorney. Been doing it this is my 25th year. And around 2000, I started an internet marketing company, which I ran mostly through about 2016. Around 2016, I came up with this idea. I wanted to transition out of the marketing business and had some criteria, but primarily what I came up with was this idea for a better way to communicate with my clients. And it came out of, at that time, over 20 years of seeing an evolution of, first we had landlines, then we had pagers, which I thought was totally Star Trek at the time to have a pager. And then, I got the cell phone around 96 or something like that. And then, at the time when I got the cell phone, I went through all the trouble of making sure all the landline calls were forwarded to my phone, and I loved it. And then came the smartphones and texting, all that. And I was about ready to lose my mind because I was far enough into life and far enough into my career that I needed some separation. And I liked the convenience of texting, but I didn't like having it was an all or nothing situation where either I throw my cell phone number out there and anyone can call me. I just turned into a call center. So I would get calls, and it never failed. It was always around 6 o'clock on a Friday. Someone would say, call me or text me, hey, what's going on with my case? I needed some sense. And if I didn't respond, within a couple of minutes, I'd spend the rest of the weekend getting follow-up text messages, usually a bunch of question marks. Like, why aren't you answering? Well, I do take some time off. So at any rate, we been developing this app. I have a group of developers in Chicago, and I've been designing it along with my wife, Kim. She's my business partner. And we've gone through quite a stretch of development, refining it some more. We've got our Trello list of future features. It's pretty long, but at this point, I think it's pretty robust. It has some really good features. I'm using it in my practice. I have over 100 clients that I have connected that I'm using in my practice right now, and I find it to be immensely useful.
Excellent.
Wow.
And when did you guys actually kind of go live with the app? Because I've been on it a week now. You and I have communicated through it a few times. I'm about to communicate with Ivan right now while we're...
Are you guys connected already?
We will be in a second.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when did you guys actually go live with it?
August.
Okay.
We started pushing. I mean, we had it on test flight, and we've been testing it for a while. But we'd always come up with some things where, you run into this problem where you're always perpetually trying to make it a little bit better before you want people to see it.
Right.
Not yet. It's got to be a little bit. It's like getting ready for your first date.
Right.
25 outfits. So, at some point I was like, okay, like this is fine. This is good enough. So the first thing I did was I started around June of 2018. I started using it in my practice, and that I was the proving ground. In August, we decided it was solid. It actually has been very stable. It has worked really well now since the spring. We just keep going back, and what's really important to me is for the UX to be simple. I want it to be a very seamless process. So we had an attorney yesterday sign up, and the way that I know that it's working well and it's easy is after he signed up, within 15 or 20 minutes, I could see that new connections were being created. So I could see on the back end, okay, connection, which means he's sharing his profile and clients are receiving it, they're connected, and they're able to communicate at that point. I mean, we can't see specifics. I don't see names or text or anything like that, but I could just see general activity. So we can see the ticker going up.
That's a good, you were leading me into a question. It was interesting. Ivan is now texting me through the app, and as you and I have done, Richard, in the last couple of days, or at least today for certain. And I was wondering, so one of the issues certainly here would be, what can the app see on the background? Because of course there's the attorney-client privilege concerns.
Yeah, so I don't want anybody seeing anything.
Right.
Right. So, if you lose your phone, like I lost my laptop, it's somewhere at the Toronto airport. I took one of my kids on a trip. And what was reassuring to me is everything's in the cloud. So my laptop is basically just the terminal. And I think the phone should be viewed the same way. So traditional text message, which is really what we're competing with and improving on, is those texts reside on a SIM card. So if you don't have your phone locked and you lose your phone, you lose all those text messages, plus people can get to them. Monikur requires a login. If you were to lose your phone, you just re-download the app, reinstall it, and all of your communications, your contacts, your text messages are right back there. It's not phone specific, so nothing resides on the phone. It's all encrypted. The database is encrypted. We can't even see what's in the database. So it's encrypted from app to server, and then on the server itself, the database is also encrypted.
Excellent. Okay, so that solves probably the biggest concern for attorneys up front would be how safe is my information and my client's information.
Yeah, it's very safe. I mean, I think that's one of the primary. In fact, we haven't even considered and never considered any kind of data scraping or anything like that, which is why we charge a subscription. Okay. So all these apps like WhatsApp and any app that you hold that claims to be free, they're not free. They're getting valuable data from you.
Right.
Well, I'm a defense attorney, I think kind of in a simple way, and I'll do something for you. You give me a little bit of money, and we'll call it a deal. So it's the same approach with this app. You can have my app, you can have all these features, give me a little bit of money every month, and we're good.
Yeah, I like that. I liked personally, and we'll get to the how you do the money shortly, but I liked the ease, the subscription-based service, one user, one fee. I thought that was pretty straightforward and helpful. Although I see that you have a beta thing in test for larger organizations, and which also makes sense.
Yeah.
So as I was testing out this app, Ivan, Ivan, do you see in the top right-hand corner of the app a little download arrow on our chat? So this I thought was really handy. So Richard and I somewhat talked about the app ZipWhip, which I know other lawyers have used as sort of a temporary cure for communicating with their clients, where they can text from their office phone, and from their office phone number, and it's basically a redirect. You're texting through the app. I do the same thing through RingCentral, where I'm logged into RingCentral app when a client wants to text us, and I can text them back through RingCentral. That's all done through the app and through your business phone number. The nice thing here is you eliminate the need for the actual phone number because you're making the connection with the person by name. So you eliminate having to have that app. Plus, for lawyers, that download option, Ivan, gives you the ability to print and save the transcript in PDF. That's nice
Right.
because that goes right in that can go in your digital file on your server or in the cloud. I'm imagining they can take that PDF file and put it right into their practice management software. Is that possible?
Yeah, right now we're looking at integrating with practice management software. In the meantime, you receive an email with a PDF with the date range of that conversation. You can do whatever you want with it.
Okay.
What I do with it is save it. So occasionally I'll get some text messages that actually have enough substance in it that I feel like I need to save it to the file. A lot of times it's things like, where are you? I'm on the 3rd floor. We're in Division 25. Mundane things like that, which I think is where text messaging shines. My preference is I don't like to have real substantive conversations by text because you're just inviting this never-ending conversation. So my clients understand, okay, look, that's not why we're texting. It's just so that you can have back channel access. In my experience, it's a little counterintuitive, but it actually, because of the conversations and the communication is so efficient, I have a lot less contacts from my clients than I used to. That, rather than have a stack of phone messages at the end of the day and we're playing phone tag and then we're having the same conversation for the 5th time, they know that they can ping me with a quick question about remind me again, or it might be an address, or it might just be what's the date of something. And it's a very efficient way to communicate. And so I feel like the communication in my practice, because I have a fairly high volume for defense practice. I have over 100 open files right now. I actually only get a handful of text messages a day. Okay. I'm always way ahead on my files. And then, and the texts are usually fairly, specific about things that are appropriate for text.
So Richard, you said you have about 100 of your own. Who have you deployed this with?
So right now
it's August essentially, right?
Yeah, 2019 we're in traction mode. So we have been getting attorneys registered. The Missouri Public Defender, which has about 400 attorneys, they've started using it. We offered it to them for free, and for a couple of reasons. One is it will put a high load on the app because each one of them have 150 cases. So we've been rolling that out in various circuits in Missouri, and that's going to help us to understand, make sure that it's performing well. And so far, it's doing really well. We have a control panel, and you mentioned, Nick, you mentioned org that we have in beta. It's the same product, but it comes with org, gives you a control panel. So within that control panel, you can add and delete users, but you can also see each of your users' connections and their actual text messages, and you can save them. And the reason why is because for a public entity like a prosecutor's office, there are sunshine law requirements, there's record keeping requirements, and also you have all this extra organizational communication that's happening at law firms. So here's how law firms handle this now. They say, don't text. No one's allowed to text, and then everyone ignores it. Well, guess what? A lot of really important things are happening by text. A lot of important conversations are happening by text. So they just do it anyway. And then they stick their head in the sand. So using this control panel, the organization owns all of the communication, including text messaging, just like they do email. So as far as deployment, we have small firms that are starting to use it, but we're also hitting these larger organizations. Especially the public ones, I think, are the ones that could really benefit from this.
Yeah, that's excellent. And we have a practicing lawyer out of Indiana and Florida with us. Guy DiMartino's here with us. So, Guy, if you have any questions, post them in the Facebook feed for us, please. We're talking with Richard Lozano of the Monikur App, monikur.com. It is a texting app for attorneys where you don't have to give out your phone number.
So did you pick up? I just had to misspell Monikur a little bit. So
I did pick it up.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I've actually posted it in the Facebook, the correct spelling in Facebook.
the idea is that you're sharing your name, not your number.
Yeah.
That's really, if you use a Google Voice number, for example, you really aren't solving the problem. You're putting a layer between you and your cell phone, but the 10 digits gets out there and then you've lost control. All you can do is turn off the forwarding or block numbers, that sort of thing. So by creating a profile like this, it makes it truly invitation only. So the only way that you're going to be able to connect with me through the app is if I proactively invite you, which, by the way, I can uninvite
Right.
person too. So when you're through with them or if they're wearing on you, you just we have various controls. You can mute people, you can disable their texting individually, or you could just delete them.
I like that.
And this is a really simple one. It's a very simple, effective app.
Yeah, very straightforward. And Ivan and I talk about this. Some of our customers, some of our guests, we really have to stretch the gray matter on what they're doing, because some of it on the machine learning side and stuff is outside some of our comfort level. This is straightforward, simple, easy to use, easy to subscribe, and helpful. I mean, what is your feedback from those existing customers right now? Are you getting feedback all positive? Is there some that they want this or that bell and whistle added to it? How's that going?
Honestly, some of the feedback regarding suggestions have been kind of getting into the weeds, which I think is good, because we just added these event reminders, which I don't think any texting app has that. So to me, it made sense to add a calendar. Mm-hmm. And I think I sent you an invitation.
Yeah. Yep. And I got the alert.
Yeah, it'll start sending push notifications. I just created a calendar reminder. Hey, 8 o'clock Central tonight, we've got this podcast, and I add you to it as a connection, and then you start getting hit with reminders. I use that with my clients, and it's really cut down. There's nothing worse than showing up to court, especially if it's night court, and a couple of your clients forgot about court, they didn't show up, and then you just have to get a continuance, and you could have been home. So since I started using the event reminders, that's cut substantially down. In fact, I don't think anyone's missed court yet. So as soon as I know that they have a court date, I just enter that information. I add them to that reminder. The little push notification comes up on their phone, and I can choose the intervals, but usually I do it, at the time that I add it, and then maybe 3 days before, and then the day of. So we're continually looking for features that make a lot of sense. So the one that's always bugged me for a really long time is that you can't mark a text as unread. And if, like my Google inbox, I have probably 80 unread. Like I'm gonna get this, right.
Right.
Well, if this is really designed to be client communication, it's more important stuff. You should, I'll look at a text like, that's important, I better go back and do, that's something that should go onto my to-do list. So in about 2 weeks, when we release another incremental update, it's going to have the ability to swipe a conversation and mark it as unread. So it'll turn blue again.
I love that. I can't believe that iPhone, unless there's a feature on the iPhone that I'm not aware of, I can't believe that they haven't done that. Yeah.
So we're trying to stay laser focused on this as a communicator, and not get straight into practice management or accepting payments or getting really to make it a confusing product. I want it to be, look, this is just a little device that will help you to communicate with your clients in a professional to client environment better than anything else, that all the features are tailor-made for that relationship.
I like that.
Nice.
It looks like we have another question here from Jason Velez. He asks, have you integrated any chat automation, or is that built in? I'm assuming, Jason, you may need to clarify for us, but my assumption is he's referring to like chat bots, like, hey, welcome to your connection with Richard Lozano. I'm not sure if that's a necessity here.
It's not, I mean, like an autoresponder or something like that. This isn't a customer service, so you look at some of these other products, and I think the real intent of some of these business texting products is to, they want maximum contacts. They want the general public to interface through these chat widgets on their website, and that's not what this is. This is designed to be an invitation-only controlled environment that, look, I'm going to give you, for client satisfaction reasons, I'm going to allow you a back channel to me directly, but it's going to be under very specific terms. And that's the purpose of it. It's not so that I can put a chat widget on my website and get as many rando people from the public contacting me as possible. There are plenty of products out there. And on my website, and I get a couple contacts a day, I've got a contact form for new clients.
Right.
But once you're in the fold and once you're a client of mine, okay, now part of that is I'm going to give you back channel access to me through Monikur, through this invitation. So it serves a different purpose.
Excellent. Now there's something we should probably, since we have a couple of lawyers watching here, something we talked about before we went live, and that was the billing. This, not only do you download and get a transcript of the, and that, I think you answered that for Guy, Ivan, but you can download the chat transcript and have a copy of that. But this helps with billing. And tell us how you had this in mind.
Okay, so the billing, and we're going to refine this. I call it billing 1.0 right now, which is, you can pick a date range and email yourself a spreadsheet with your overall raw text activity for that date range. So it'll show each of your clients that you've texted with alphabetically. So let's say it's January 1st through January 30th, and you run a report for that, and it shows client A you've had 60 text messages, and client B, you've had 80 text messages. Well, what you could do, I think reasonably, is add into your professional services agreement, hey, for every 2 or 3 or 4 text messages, I'll bill you 1/10 of an hour. So for a situation like that, if you have 80 text messages, let's say something like that, you could very easily, I think most attorneys could very easily get to a couple of hours of captured billing that they wouldn't have had otherwise. And at the average rate for the cost of the subscription, it pays off very quickly. Very quickly.
Jason also asks, and this might be in the org version, organization subscription version, but he was wondering about group threads. Will there be the ability to have multiple people texting?
I haven't decided, and the reason why. So I'll tell you one little story that's absolutely true. I'm really nervous about these kind of communications going down the wrong pipe. So I had 2 clients that had the same area code and the same 4 digits of their 7-digit phone number. And one was a traffic ticket and one was going to prison. Mm-hmm. So I got a text message from this person about the next court date. I was like, we talked about this, it's a 559 rec, which in Missouri, that's a 120-day shock treatment program. And I was a little annoyed because we just talked about this. We just had this conversation earlier today. And then I got this response, Mr. Lozano, can you give me a call, please? And so I call him. I said, I don't understand. It's just a speeding ticket. And, so I thought it was pretty funny. He didn't think it was funny.
He didn't find it as funny.
Right. So I'm really paranoid about this idea, and I don't know the usefulness necessarily of a group text. What we are developing, actually, we've mapped it out. And this is primarily for, let's say, a prosecutor's office that has, let's say, 6 witnesses attached to a file, is we're going to create the ability to create a folder. Mm-hmm. And within that folder, you could call it whatever you want, call it, State v. Jones. And you can invite and add connections. So you could group those connections within that matter. You could blast out a broadcast message to them, but it's one way. So they would each get it and they could respond individually. But you could also invite each of them with one stroke to a court date. So you can say, okay, you 6 people need to be in court next Monday with details about that. But coming back the other way, it should be a one direction. So we've thought about that quite a bit, about whether we should have group texts. I think that there's some risk with it. And I don't know the usefulness in this kind of setting.
I guess one of the use cases that Jason mentioned is potentially looping in a paralegal.
Yeah, so we came across that yesterday where they were asking what's the best way to do it. And what I do is my AA has her own account and I have mine. What you could do is you could have multiple people in the firm use the same login. The only limitation on that, it's a limitation of the operating system for Android and iOS, is only one will get the push notification. So you would have to decide who's going to get the push notification. But you could have multiple people logged in to the app.
I guess, you'll fill it out based on demand too, right? As you build
Yeah,
this.
At this point, you're exactly right. I think the smart thing for us to do is to let it grow and listen really carefully. In my law practice, I know exactly what my clients need, so I'm pretty opinionated about that.
Right.
Thing here, I've got to do the opposite. I've got to be really curious and be kind of quiet and listen to feedback.
Okay.
So tell us about the pricing structure. It is subscription based, one price per user, correct?
Yeah, it's $20 a month.
$20 a month.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's simple.
That's it.
I like it.
It's
And
like,
probably for the organization, you'll come up with an appropriate number for an organization.
yeah, for an organization, I think what they're gonna have more of a support need. So what we're going to start hitting. I think the prosecutor's office is here in Missouri. There was last week in mid-Missouri there was I think a $36,000 judgment against the prosecutor's office for failing to provide sunshine law documents. Mm-hmm. So that's put everybody on edge about record keeping. Well, none of the prosecutors have state issue phones. They all use their personal phones. All these records, there are all sorts of discoverable records that are on people's personal phones, which, by the way, also have all sorts of other text messages that they don't necessarily want, knuckleheads like me looking through in the discovery process, right?
Right.
So, hey, here's, I was texting with the, witness, and that's discoverable. Don't read my text with my wife, please. So that's why I think it's better to keep all these things separated out.
Yeah, that makes good sense.
Yeah.
Ivan, it's about that time. Finance.
Yeah, so let's transition. It's a very simple product. It's very, like we were talking about earlier. So in terms of rolling this thing out, you're working with the prosecutor's office in Missouri, and you're self-funding this completely so far?
Self-funding. Yeah, the seedy underbelly of St. Louis is funding Monikur.
So what?
The seedy underbelly. Since
Yeah.
He's a criminal defense lawyer.
So you don't expect to raise money, it seems like, if you can get sufficient traction and interest from the prosecutor's office, right?
Yeah. So
you're probably going to be able to essentially.
Yeah, the entity that's using this.
Yeah,
the entity that's actively using this right now is actually the PD, public defender. The prosecutor, I think, that's in development. We don't have an agreement with the prosecutor right now, but I think that's a very logical play for them for a number of reasons. But no, as far as funding goes, it's self-funded, and I really don't see a need right now to pursue investment money.
And if you
once you start to refine it with the 150, you said, cases per the 300 attorneys.
Yeah. So are you referring to the public defender?
Right.
Yeah. So once, the purpose of providing this to the public defender is partly so that it's a good proving ground for us.
Yeah, you get massive amounts of feedback right there.
We'll get feedback. We bought them pizza a couple of weeks ago and got feedback from them at that time. But also we get a lot of good information off of our server, like how's the app performing? under this load, because a single public defender might have 150 open files. So that immediately, if we start throwing a few dozen PDs onto the system.
Right, and then you have that as an institutional use case that you can essentially advertise to get more clients.
Exactly. Yeah, and we can see the control panel where we need to tweak things.
We can stop there. We can transition to the next line of questioning.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask, and how's it going getting the solos, small firms, others on board? Are you onboarding them pretty good right now? Can you share anything about number of users, number of paying users at this point?
Really hard.
Yeah.
Growing a business is super hard.
Yeah.
In my marketing company, we were signing firms up. I mean, they would give us a credit card number and we'd swipe it for thousands of dollars on a 10-minute phone conversation. This is trickier because we're asking them to do a couple things. One is change their habit. So whatever they're doing now, they tend to stay with. And my opinion is just try it. Just try it. And trust me, I think you'll be really happy if you do. So we're still solving that issue, and we're going to be all through 2019. It's not the money at all, because it's not very expensive. Mm-hmm. And by the time you write it off on taxes, it's really not very expensive. It's a really slick little productivity tool. It improves client satisfaction, I think, substantially. It improves it lowers your stress level. That's another big issue, is you're not throwing yourself out to the wind, but getting those solos to change their habits and also to change platforms. Those are two really tricky areas for us to solve. It has nothing to do with the $20.
Right.
So, well, okay, you're asking me to start, entrusting your app to really important client communications, or you have attorneys say, why would I want to text with my clients? you have those. I had somebody ask me that when we went to a larger firm, and one of the attorneys like, what am I going to start? Why would I want to do that? So you're going to have various objections like that. I think, when you look at the data though, and there was an article that I read, it was a blog entry. It was Keith at Associates Mine. I read it about a year ago, and they did sort of an informal poll about, how do clients prefer to communicate and how do attorneys prefer to communicate. And there's this huge gap where the clients prefer text messaging and the attorneys prefer email for a variety of reasons. And so, because I think this addresses the pain points of attorneys, but also it improves client satisfaction as well, and it makes your communication a lot more efficient. It's up to us to figure out how to create that message and convey that effectively. So to answer your question, it's tough. Not just making, because I don't really like selling. What I like doing is solving. So I'll solve it. Here's a solution, and I think you'll like it. You don't, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got, we can talk about it afterwards. I've got a couple ideas on that, because I know in a legal mastermind group that I participate in weekly that this issue has come up multiple times. So I know it is an issue for attorneys. So I got a couple of ideas on where to start reaching out and communicating to hopefully get some people on board and testing this out and more paying customers. Ivan, any other questions on that?
No.
It's a pretty straightforward app, and I got to tell you, it's easy to use it. The day is so. I
have to say 60 seconds was about right.
Was about right, and we're sending pictures back and forth during the interview here. So that has gone. Oh, and look, does it? It looks like I may have gotten logged out. Did it log out when my phone went to sleep, or does it just?
It should re-authenticate automatically.
Re-authenticate. Okay. Yeah. It took just a second to go back in.
Right. No, I haven't logged in about a year.
Okay. I
haven't typed my information in about a year. It just stays logged in.
Okay. All right.
You're really worried about it, you can log out, but my phone locks, so I'm not.
Yeah. Oh, Ivan says in his text to me now, Ivan, this may be, I'm going to check the PDF here. Tell us about this. He says he emailed me or he did the email of and this is only images that we had sent mostly. And the PDF came in blank.
Right.
From that date, what date range did you pick?
I think the 10th through the 17th.
Yeah, 10 through 17. Does it take till tomorrow to register?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a little bit of issue with getting it like the very first day. It'll go, I think, if you check it after midnight. But
Okay.
that's been sort of a nagging little, it's kind of a minor little thing that we've been dealing with. That because I know I was using it today and I saved a message and it had all my messages from today. So my suspicion is that after it cycles through a day, then you're good to go. But that's something we have to look at.
Okay. Yeah, that's not the end of that. I assume, just because I've had experience with these things before, that probably come whatever time your server's on, midnight, whatever midnight time is.
There's a lot of moving parts on the back end. The app, we try to make it super simple, very simple UX. But all of the stuff on the back end, if you look at our Trello to-do list, it goes on into infinity with all the little things that we've had to deal with the last 2 years. It's actually an extraordinarily complex app on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a little database. There's a lot of stuff going on with the database. And so I think since you just registered, 30 minutes ago,
Right.
I think it needs to pass a little threshold before it starts recognizing those in the archive.
Yeah. And so we'll see. I just sent it to myself too, Ivan. So we'll see when my email arrives.
Yeah, and it will include the images too.
Oh, well. Oh, interesting. Okay. Excellent. Well, I think that's all I have. Richard, where do people find you? How do they contact you if they're interested in the app? Where do they go?
Yeah, so Monikur.com with a U. And there are links there to the Apple Store and Google Play. You get 7-day free trial. We're going to change that so that you actually get full functionality without having to do a trial. But you do get right now for a few more weeks, the way we have it set up is you'll get a free 7-day trial. And you'll get all the full functionality at no risk. So.
Excellent. And so that is Monikur.com. That's MONIKUR.com. And are you available on social media as well?
We are, yeah. Got a Twitter account, and I've been told we should do Instagram. I mean, I've turned 53. I don't know some of these things, but yeah, supposedly we're supposed to do Instagram. I don't know.
Right. And is it Monikur App on Twitter, or is it just your personal?
At Monikur Biz.
At Monikur Biz. So at MONIKURBIZ.
That's right.
On Twitter. And our guest tonight was Richard Lozano of Monikur, Monikur.com. Richard, we thank you for being here. This will be episode 42. It will drop for those who have not joined us live in the Facebook page. It will drop next Tuesday. I believe that's the 22nd. And that'll be available on LegalTechLIVE.com. Thanks again for coming on, Richard. We really appreciate it. Great little product here. And don't disappear after we stop recording. We'll chat with you for a couple of minutes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm Nick Rishwain here with my co-host.
I've been Ray Glenn.
That's it. And our guest tonight was Richard Lozano. Stay tuned for episode 43. Thanks for watching, everybody.